Russia's European neighbors are nervous. Moscow's war on Ukraine shattered the illusion that major European land wars were resigned to history. The Baltic nations are on Russia's doorstep, and the former Soviet states of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, now NATO allies, all have alliance troops in their territory. They're there to act as a deterrent against Russian aggression. Canada leads the battle group in Latvia and has approximately 800 armed forces members stationed in the country. But nearly a year ago, Canada agreed to bolster NATO's presence in Latvia. The plan is to surge the current battalion into a brigade-level battle group, and that means thousands of more troops. Latvia's Defense Minister Ināra Mūrniece is in Ottawa this week to work on that plan. She sat down with me earlier today for an exclusive broadcast interview. Minister, it's nice to meet you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to speak to you.
I want to talk about the battle group in just a second, but I want to start with Ukraine and the announcement you made with Minister Anand that you will joint train Ukrainian soldiers on Latvian soil. With Ukraine preparing for a counteroffensive against Russia, do you think Ukraine has what it needs in terms of equipment and training to win that counteroffensive?
What we see today, it is important that all Western countries are united in their support to Ukraine. When and how Ukraine will start its counter-offensive, it's up to them. It's up to them. But it's essential that Western supports Ukraine, that we are united in our support to Ukraine, and that Ukraine receives all necessary military equipment.
Do you think they've received what they need to this point, though? Do you think they have all the necessary military equipment? Because President Zelensky keeps asking for fighter jets, and so far only a small number of countries have delivered.
It's understandable. They need military equipment to be successful in the military field. It's understandable. But on the other hand, they are fighting for their very existence, for their existence as a human beings, for existence of Ukrainian nation, for existence of Ukrainian state. And their fight is just, right and just. We understand Ukraine because we have had more than 50 years of Soviet occupation, and our historical experience gives us better understanding of Russia as well, of Russia's actions, of Russia's modus operandi, how they think and what they do. That's why for years Baltic countries, including Latvia, have tried to explain our Western counterparts what Russia is doing. Now, the West has opened their eyes, and we really see what's going on.
Well, certainly the Baltic countries, Poland, have made this point throughout this conflict that they see the threat from Russia because it's right there at their border. And this is the reason for the NATO battle group in your country. And I just wondered, we've seen the invasion of Ukraine. Do you have that same fear in Latvia? What do you think Vladimir Putin's intentions are for Latvia and the other countries?
Well, it's a question which should be addressed to Vladimir Putin. No one knows what such a politician as Putin is thinking and scenarios he's preparing for. That is why we are doing our homework in area of defense. There is a political agreement to reach 2.5 of GDP for defense very soon, and to reach 3% of GDP for defense till 2027. But with new allocations for new capabilities of Latvian armed forces, it's clear we will reach 3% of GDP much sooner. It means we hugely invest in our defense. We are doing our homework. And another task is scaling up EFP battle group, Canadian-led EFP battle group to combat capable brigade. It's NATO commitment and Canada's commitment as well.
Is that going as fast as you'd hope, though? I mean, I was at the NATO summit in Madrid last year when it was announced, and here we are still in the very early stages of scaling up that battle group. I mean, given the threat and what's happening on the continent, should that not be ready by now or quite soon?
I'd like to stress it's work in progress. When I was elected as a Minister of Defense, my first political meeting was with Minister Anand. Yes, it was online meeting, but nevertheless, it was my first conversation with another minister. And it's very symbolically as well. It's our common task, it's our very clear vision, both of Latvia and Canada. And I would like to commend Canadian military for what has been reached till now. Given the complexity of this task, because it involves political dialogue and military planning, and let me add, it's the largest EFP battle group by number of nations and number of troops. It's not as easy as it might seem. And I'd like to say...
So there's no frustration or impatience from Latvia at the pace of this?
Hard to say. It's work. I'd like to say it's work in progress. We are in political dialogue with Canada. I have come to Canada to discuss with my counterpart, Minister Anita Anand, how to reach this aim gradually and step by step. And I'd like to thank Minister Anita Anand for her personal efforts in this field as well.
You talked about the amount of defense spending your country has done, 2.3% right now, with a commitment to escalate to 3% by 2027, and 1% of your GDP going to another country, for Ukraine, for its defense. Jens Stoltenberg, the NATO Secretary General, is calling for other nations to make 2% of spending the floor. Countries like Canada aren't there. We're at about 1.3% right now. Can NATO tolerate members being below 2%, given what's happening in Europe and when you see the moves that China is making in the Indo-Pacific region? I mean, do countries just need to up their game on this?
I'd like to say, we understand Latvia is situated on the eastern flank of NATO, very close to Russia. We know what's going on in Ukraine, and our history tells us we must invest in our defense, and we are doing it.
But what about other countries? I mean, you're a NATO member, and you've met the pledge, right?
Yes, I'd like to say it's up to NATO and it's up to other countries. We can't make commitments instead of other countries. Our position is very clear. 2% of GDP, it's just floor, not ceiling. We understand the necessity to strengthen NATO and to strengthen NATO eastern flank particularly.
Right, so there's no frustration that other countries are below that, because there's been a rapid escalation of spending with a lot of NATO members. We've seen Germany completely reorient its focus, and still other countries, including this one, are below that. So there's, for the people who are right on the front line of the threat posed by Russia, you're not bothered by that?
I'd like to say it's work in progress, and I'm convinced we will reach this aim gradually.
Okay, the work in progress on the spending, the work in progress on the brigade. What is the target date now for when the Canada-led brigade in Latvia will be at full capacity, the capacity that was committed to at the summit in Spain last year?
Well, Canada is a framework nation in this battle group. And our common task is to scale up to brigade level. And many decisions are up to Canada. I'd like to put it this way. Latvia is hugely investing in host nation support. Mm-hmm. Well, let me tell you, I'm committed to provide the best host nation support in our region. And we plan to build the largest training range and military base in the Baltic region. It will be Celia or Salonia military base. It means the best possibilities both for Canadians and NATO allies to train in Latvia.
Okay, so do we see this in 2024, 2025? What should we expect for when that increased presence will be there?
Yes, our Chief of Defense plans military trainings next year, but infrastructure projects will be ready, I suppose, in 2026.
Okay, Minister, I want to thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.